In a world where emotional landscapes can shift with the slightest touch, are you truly prepared for the unseen forces that govern our relationships? This book emerges as a powerful tool for understanding the complexities of mental health dynamics, equipping you with the knowledge to not only protect yourself, but to support others who navigate their own tumultuous journeys. This is not merely a communication guide. It is a deep dive into the intricate tactics that often masquerade as empathy, but can, in reality, become forms of control. As you turn the pages, you will unravel the mysteries of emotional resilience, leaving you compelled to reconsider your place in the lives of those around you. Prepare to confront the depths of the human psyche in a manner that may surprise you. Rejection Cycle: Breaking Free from Abandonment Triggers, written and published by Tangled Minds. Chapter 1: Trapped in the Rejection Loop. Imagine a crowded coffee shop where friends gather to share laughter and stories. Amidst the animated conversations, one individual sits alone, eyes glued to the doorway with a mix of hope and trepidation. As others innocently engage, they wait with bated breath for a familiar face to appear, feeling an ever-deepening pang of anxiety with each passing moment. This scenario encapsulates the daily reality for many grappling with the burdens of mental health issues, inviting us to consider why some people unintentionally project their unresolved pain onto others. The roots of this behavior often begin in a place of profound emotional turmoil. Rejection and feelings of abandonment can warp an individual's perception of reality, making them susceptible to the relentless cycle of doubt and despair. Those who experience abandonment may carry an instinctual fear of it repeating. The scenarios they construct often distort the present, leading them to perceive rejection where none exists. Consequently, those who wrestle with their own mental anguish may lash out, believing that they are protecting themselves from the looming shadows of hurt. This is not mere malice, it is a defense mechanism, albeit one that can inflict significant pain on others. In this loop, the dynamics of relationships become cyclic. The individual plagued by fears and insecurities often struggles to maintain healthy boundaries, allowing the shadows of their mental health challenges to influence their interactions. In an attempt to guard against perceived threats, they might set off a chain reaction of misunderstandings, leading to escalating conflicts with those they seek connection with. Their own pain, unaddressed and unacknowledged, masks their ability to see others clearly, leading to reactions that can be unpredictable and damaging. Moreover, this cycle of rejection becomes self-perpetuating, as loved ones feeling hurt and confused often withdraw and create further distance, cementing the other's experience of isolation. What makes this scenario all the more insidious is the subtle way it ensnares all involved. Those who support individuals facing mental health challenges may find themselves cycling through periods of empathy and frustration, questioning their own sanity and worth. They often experience the heartache of unreciprocated affection, struggling to offer love and support, while simultaneously wrestling with feelings of resentment and disillusionment. This dynamic not only chips away at their own mental health, but reinforces the cycle of rejection for the person in need, further entrenching both parties in a painful dance that feels almost impossible to escape. To break free from this detrimental loop, it is crucial to first recognize the patterns at play. By raising awareness about how mental health can manifest in relational dynamics, we can begin to unveil the hidden truths that too often go unnoticed. Acknowledging this reality paves the way for understanding and compassion. Knowledge becomes a powerful tool, illuminating pathways toward healing and fostering a more profound sense of connection. This chapter serves as an invitation to explore the rejection loop further, not just as a problem to be solved, but as a complex tapestry woven through human experience. Understanding this intricate dance can be the first step toward transformation, allowing us to confront the underlying fears and emotions that perpetuate this suffering. Doing so lays the foundation for healthier relationships and personal growth. As we dive deeper into the ramifications of the rejection loop, it becomes clear how profoundly it affects individuals navigating this tumultuous terrain. Consider Sarah, a bright and compassionate young woman who has always been the emotional anchor for her friendship group. For years, she has been the listener, the supporter, and the one who dispenses sage advice. However, as her own mental health challenges began to surface, stemming from a painful divorce and subsequent feelings of loneliness, her ability to provide support began to wane. She found herself caught in an unending cycle of fear, projecting her abandonment issues onto those who care for her. This led to withdrawing from friendships, and in moments of insecurity, she lashed out at those closest to her, perpetuating the very cycle she feared most. Psychological research reveals a poignant truth echoed in many similar stories. When individuals feel rejected or abandoned, they often react defensively. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology highlights how the fear of rejection can lead to aggression and hostility, particularly towards those who offer feedback or highlight the individual's avoidance patterns. For Sarah, each time her friends gently raised concerns about her behavior, she reacted with anger, convinced that they were abandoning her support rather than showing concern. The result? A chasm of hurt and misunderstanding widened, leading to isolation and further entrenchment in her mental health struggles. James offers another vivid illustration of this dynamic. He was a promising young professional whose anxiety spiraled after losing his job. As he faced significant self-worth issues, every interaction with colleagues or friends became laced with suspicion and hurt. He would interpret neutral remarks as personal attacks, internalizing his fears of inadequacy and projecting them outward, causing rifts in relationships that previously provided him strength. His friends, bewildered and wounded by his sudden emotional distance, began to withdraw. James was left to grapple with both his job loss and the isolation it created, caught in a cycle that only emerged deeper as his reactions exacerbated his circumstances. These case studies illustrate a broader pattern observed in individuals dealing with mental health challenges. The rejection loop creates a lens through which they view the world, one that distorts reality and inhibits genuine connections. The urgency of this realization cannot be overstated. Understanding how mental health influences interpersonal relationships is essential not only for individuals struggling with these issues, but also for their loved ones who seek to support them. Psychological distress can skew perceptions, rendering communication fraught with tension and misunderstanding. As people fail to recognize these intricacies, relationships can falter, and the isolation will often grow deeper. This rejection loop can feel like a trap with no key in sight, yet knowledge is a powerful ally to help loosen the binds. With insight into these emotional cycles, individuals can begin to take steps toward healing and healthier interactions. In the forthcoming section, we will turn our attention to the hidden warning signs that most people overlook in themselves and others. Subtle, but critical indicators that reveal when the rejection loop is beginning to tighten its grip. By learning to identify these signals, we can pave the way toward reclaiming our connections, offering support without losing ourselves in the process. Prepare to illuminate the shadows that cloud understanding as we venture further into this vital exploration. In the convoluted web of the rejection loop, the impact extends far beyond the individual experiencing mental health struggles. It ripples outward, affecting caregivers, friends, and colleagues in ways that can be both profound and damaging. Take the case of Mark, a dedicated therapist who often found himself emotionally drained after working with clients battling severe anxiety and depression. As he poured his energy into supporting others, he neglected to recognize the toll it was taking on his well-being. Over time, his once empathetic demeanor began to shift. Mark found himself resonating with the pain of his clients, slipping into their emotional strife. This inability to maintain boundaries turned his compassion into a heavy burden, leading to burnout that left him irritable and withdrawn, ultimately affecting his effectiveness as a therapist. Mark's friends noticed the change. Conversations that were once buoyant and filled with shared joy became laden with tension and misunderstanding. His support system started to falter. Friends felt uncomfortable expressing their own struggles for fear that their burdens would be dismissed or misinterpreted as insensitivity. The very foundation of their relationships began to crumble under the weight of Mark's emotional upheaval. This is a common pattern observed not only in professionals like Mark, but also in everyday relationships. Friends may find themselves walking on eggshells, modifying their behavior to avoid triggering defensive reactions in the individual struggling with mental health challenges. This kind of fear substantially alters the dynamic of connections and often leads to isolation for both parties. Consider also Julia, a caring colleague who has always been the first to step in and offer support to her team during stressful projects. When her team member Ethan faced a downturn in his mental health, Julia instinctively took on the role of confidant and caregiver. However, as Ethan's anxiety deepened, his emotional state began to invade the workplace, leading to unexpected outbursts and frequent withdrawal from group tasks. Julia's natural inclination to help turned into a relentless need to be the solution, causing her to neglect her own responsibilities and health. In doing so, her work performance suffered, and she began to feel resentful, trapped in a cycle of giving without receiving recognition or reciprocation. Such scenarios underscore a critical understanding. The rejection loop creates an environment where emotional burdens can unintentionally be passed around, leaving everyone involved in turmoil. Caregivers, friends, and colleagues can find themselves entangled in a web of guilt and obligation, often sacrificing their own needs for the sake of supporting someone else. They become unwitting participants in a toxic cycle that not only hinders their emotional welfare, but also affects their perceptions of self-worth and connection. Recognizing these patterns is essential for self-defense, as it highlights that the consequences of one person's emotional turmoil can infiltrate a multitude of lives. As we navigate the complexity of these interactions, it becomes increasingly clear that understanding these dynamics is the first step toward resistance. Unless we are aware of how the rejection loop manifests in our relationships, we risk becoming enablers or victims of the same cycle we seek to understand. The upcoming section will delve into the escalation of control, illustrating how victims become trapped within these patterns and how awareness can serve as a powerful catalyst for change. Prepare to explore the intricacies of these interactions further, as unveiling the mechanisms of manipulation will equip you to reclaim autonomy and foster healthier relationships. Chapter 2. Understanding the roots of abandonment. At the heart of transformation lies the understanding of our triggers, and grasping the origins of abandonment issues is the first step toward reshaping our emotional landscape. Abandonment, in its many forms, whether stemming from childhood experiences of neglect, the loss of significant relationships, or even the subtle betrayals we face in everyday interactions, can leave deep emotional scars. Research reveals that nearly 50% of adults carry the weight of unresolved abandonment, often resulting in anxiety, insecurity, and difficulty in forming healthy attachments. Yet, the recognition of these underlying issues presents an empowering opportunity for growth. To understand how deeply the roots of abandonment dig into the human psyche, consider the story of Anne. Growing up in a household where emotional expression was either scoffed at or ignored, Anne learned that her feelings were unworthy of acknowledgement. The absence of comfort during times of distress conditioned her to believe that love and support were conditional, reliant upon her behavior rather than a fundamental right. As an adult, this belief manifested in clinginess and fear of rejection, causing her to sabotage potentially fulfilling relationships where no actual threat existed. Anne is not alone. Her journey mirrors that of countless individuals who are driven by the invisible strings attached to their past experiences. Expert psychologists argue that the roots of abandonment often trace back to early attachment styles formed in childhood. A study conducted by the American Psychological Association found that children who experience inconsistent caregiving develop anxious attachment styles, which can persist into adulthood. This anxiety fuels a constant state of vigilance in relationships, where individuals often perceive even benign behaviors as potential threats of abandonment. As a result, they may react defensively, pushing others away even as they desperately crave connection. Yet, it is precisely this recognition of the patterns that holds the key to empowerment. Understanding our emotional triggers allows us to reclaim our narratives. It signifies that we are not merely victims of our past experiences, but rather warriors in our pursuit of emotional health. By naming and acknowledging abandonment issues, we affirm our right to healing. We grant ourselves permission to confront fears that have too long dictated our choices and relationships. The journey toward transformation does not have to be daunting. Consider the growing community of individuals who have braved their fears and embarked on the path to understanding. Support groups, therapy, and engaging in conversations about these issues serve as powerful conduits for change. When we share our stories and witness the struggles of others, we create a sense of belonging that begins dissolving feelings of isolation. A study from the University of California highlights that shared experiences significantly reduce the psychological burden of anxiety, creating a newfound sense of control over our emotional lives. As we navigate through the intricacies of abandonment, it is crucial to remember that the power to rewrite our internal scripts lies within us. By embracing insights from psychology and harnessing the strength of community, we forge a brighter path ahead. The next phase of this exploration will delve into the mechanisms by which pain transforms into projection, further elucidating how understanding these processes can facilitate our growth. Let us embrace the lessons learned and move forward with the confidence that we are capable of transforming our mindsets and shaping our emotional futures. Understanding how pain transforms into projection is vital in developing an effective strategy for both the individuals grappling with their emotional challenges and those supporting them. When one person's unresolved issues overflow into their interactions, it not only distorts their reality, but often puts immense pressure on relationships. The strategy rooted in heightened self-awareness and open communication is particularly effective, as it fosters healthy interactions by allowing individuals to identify and articulate their triggers, rather than letting those triggers dictate their emotional responses. Take the experience of Lisa and her brother Mike, who has struggled with depression for many years. Lisa found herself frequently frustrated with Mike's emotional withdrawals, interpreting them as disinterest in her life. This misunderstanding led to arguments, escalating emotional distress for both. However, after attending a workshop focused on emotional intelligence, Lisa learned the importance of placing clear boundaries around her feelings and reframing her approach to Mike's behavior. Instead of reacting to his withdrawal with hurt or blame, she began communicating her feelings openly, sharing how his distance impacted her while simultaneously expressing understanding of his struggles. This strategy allowed Mike to feel less isolated and more seen, creating ground for honest dialogue about his mental health without pushing Lisa away. The efficacy of this approach is reinforced by research in relational psychology, which emphasizes the importance of emotional regulation in interpersonal dynamics. Studies indicate that when individuals articulate their feelings and set clear boundaries, it not only aids in their own emotional clarity, but also creates a safe space for others to express themselves. Mike's response to Lisa's newfound approach was a shift from defensiveness to receptivity. He began to open up about his struggles more meaningfully, realizing that he didn't need to wear a mask of indifference around his sister. Instead of allowing pain to manifest in hostility, Lisa and Mike created a space where vulnerability could flourish, strengthening their bond. In another example, consider the case of Alex, a caregiver for a close friend dealing with anxiety. Initially, Alex felt overwhelmed and found himself mirroring his friend's anxiety in unpredictable ways: sudden irritability or avoidance of discussions about mental health. Recognizing this cycle, he sought guidance from a therapist who encouraged him to practice self-care and emotional pacing. Alex began setting aside time to process his emotions and reflect on the impact of his friend's mental health challenges on his well-being. With this self-awareness, he could approach his friend with a balance between compassion and assertiveness. Instead of solely absorbing his friend's distress, Alex established a dialogue that focused on recovery steps, including discussing coping techniques and encouraging his friend to seek professional help. These narratives highlight the urgency of employing strategies that promote emotional intelligence and self-awareness in the face of mental health struggles. By exploring the root of pain and transforming it into a conscious dialogue, Both individuals and their support networks can dismantle unhelpful patterns that hinder connection. The active practice of this approach not only facilitates healing, but also fosters a sense of community, assuaging feelings of isolation. As we delve deeper into this exploration, it becomes increasingly vital to understand how emotional reactions can escalate into cycles of control. In the next section, we will examine this escalation in detail, uncovering the signs that indicate when a relationship is veering into toxic territory, leaving participants entangled in spirals of misunderstanding and hurt. Understanding these dynamics is essential for fostering healthier emotional landscapes and building resilience against the impact of mental health challenges. As we dive into the practical application of transforming pain into constructive dialogue, it's essential to adopt actionable steps that facilitate this transition effectively. The first step involves cultivating self-awareness. Start by identifying emotional triggers within yourself and in interactions with others. Keep a daily journal where you can freely express your thoughts and feelings. Consider writing down instances where you felt overwhelmed or misunderstood. Reflect on what led to those emotions and how they impacted your responses. This practice of self-reflection will enhance your understanding of your emotional landscape, providing clarity for future interactions. Next, create a safe space for communication, both for yourself and those you support. When engaging in potentially difficult discussions, choose a calm environment where everyone feels secure and comfortable. Before initiating a conversation about feelings or boundaries, set a positive intention. For example, say to yourself, "I aim for understanding and compassion in this dialogue." This mindful approach will help ground the conversation, ensuring that it remains focused on mutual growth rather than resentment. To further solidify this practice, consider implementing check-in moments in your daily interactions. These brief exchanges can be as simple as asking a friend how they are feeling about recent events, or sharing your own emotional state. Over time, these check-ins can foster an environment of openness and support, making it easier to address deeper feelings as they arise without fear of conflict. Incorporating techniques for emotional processing is another layer of this practice. When faced with a difficult emotion, employ mindfulness techniques such as deep breathing or visualization. For example, take a few deep breaths, allowing tension to dissipate with each exhale. Visualize the emotion leaving your body, creating space for self-compassion and understanding. Additionally, primary steps towards emotional regulation include articulating your needs clearly. Practice stating your feelings using I statements, such as "I feel overwhelmed when." This shift prevents blame and encourages healthier dialogue. Celebrate small victories along the way, whether it's initiating a difficult conversation or successfully articulating your feelings without defensiveness. Acknowledging these moments builds momentum and reinforces positive behavior. Keep a list of these achievements, no matter how small, to remind yourself of your progress when you encounter setbacks. While striving to support others, it's crucial to maintain a balance between helping and prioritizing your own well-being. Schedule regular breaks dedicated to self-care, whether through physical activities, hobbies, or mindfulness practices. Recognizing when you are feeling overwhelmed and allowing yourself space to recharge is essential. This ensures you can continue being a helpful source of support without compromising your emotional health. As we close this chapter, prepare for an in-depth exploration of how emotional dynamics can escalate into cycles of control. In the next section, we will uncover the warning signs that indicate when relationships are veering into toxic territory, empowering you to navigate these complexities with greater confidence. Remember, knowledge is power, and you hold the key to breaking free from detrimental patterns. I encourage you to stay engaged with the content that supports your journey. If you're finding value in this message, consider subscribing to Mindset Liberation, giving this video a like, and sharing your personal insights or suggestions for future exploration. Your voice matters, and together we can create an enriching community dedicated to growth and understanding. Chapter 3. Why Pain Turns into Projection. When emotional pain is left unexplored, it can easily morph into projection, distorting our interactions and blurring the lines between our feelings and those of others. Understanding the mechanics of this transformation stands as a critical solution for breaking the cycle of misunderstandings and conflicts that often arise in relationships. Projecting our pain onto others provides a temporary escape, but ultimately reinforces isolation and perpetuates a cycle of suffering. Acknowledging this reality is the first step toward reclaiming our emotional lives and fostering healthier connections. Many individuals unwittingly find themselves caught in this spiral. In fact, research indicates that discomfort often triggers defensive responses, with 60% of people acknowledging having reacted to others based on their unresolved emotions. This pattern becomes especially apparent in intimate relationships, where individuals often project feelings rooted in their past traumas. Take, for example, the experience of Maya, who endured a tumultuous childhood characterized by instability. As an adult, she often misinterpreted loving gestures from her partner as signs of impending betrayal, leading to arguments fueled by her own fears rather than the reality of her relationship. Her story exemplifies how unresolved emotional pain can distort perception and result in projections that harm those who genuinely care. Expert insights into this phenomenon reveal that projection is a defense mechanism, one that individuals rely on to shield themselves from their own vulnerabilities. When our emotional wounds are tender, instead of addressing these vulnerabilities, we often cast them onto others as a means of coping. Dr. John Bowlby's attachment theory elucidates this concept further, emphasizing that early attachment experiences significantly shape our relational dynamics. For many, the inner turmoil stemming from past abandonment creates a lens of distorted reality, hindering meaningful connections and nurturing toxic patterns of behavior. Recognizing the commonality of this issue serves as an energizing catalyst for change. It instills a sense of hope, providing reassurance that you are not alone in combating these challenges. Awareness of the roots of projection paves the way for healing, inspiring the belief that you possess the power to transform your mindset and emotional responses. It shifts the narrative from being helpless victims of our past experiences to empowered individuals capable of growth and genuine connection. The journey toward transformation begins with a commitment to self-examination and accountability. Embrace the understanding that feelings of pain and insecurity are significant influencing factors in how you interact with others. By doing so, you empower yourself to break the cycle of projection and replace it with compassion and clarity. This shift in mindset can spark a renewal of hope, lending the strength needed to confront these emotional realities and welcoming healthier ways to communicate. As you navigate this chapter's insights, take comfort in the notion that change is within your grasp. Each step forward is an act of self-love, drawing you closer to authentic connections and fulfilling relationships. Embrace the potential inherent in your experiences and look forward with confidence, as we will explore the dynamics of emotional shields and how they can serve as protective mechanisms while fostering resilience in the face of adversity. Understanding these concepts will only further equip you on your journey to embracing healthier emotional interactions and creating the life you desire. Understanding why pain transforms into projection is the stepping stone toward implementing effective strategies that benefit both the individual experiencing emotional struggles and those supporting them. This transformative process involves recognizing when feelings of hurt are being unjustly projected onto others, allowing for healing and deeper connections. By doing so, individuals not only reclaim their emotional agency, but also foster understanding and empathy within their relationships, creating an environment conducive to healing and growth. The strategy of opening a dialogue around emotional triggers is profoundly effective. This approach encourages individuals to articulate their feelings instead of allowing unresolved pain to influence their responses. By acknowledging feelings and expressing them constructively, both the individual and their loved ones can mitigate the risk of misunderstandings. For instance, consider the case of Tom and his husband, Daniel. Tom had long struggled with anxiety stemming from childhood insecurities, which manifested as irritability and withdrawal in his relationship. Rather than letting this irritability fester into arguments, Tom decided to have a candid conversation with Daniel about his feelings. By articulating his emotional triggers, Tom allowed Daniel to understand the source of his behavior, which transformed the relationship dynamic. Instead of responding to Tom's irritability with frustration, Daniel became more attuned to Tom's emotional needs, providing support rather than defensiveness. Moreover, research underscores the effectiveness of communication in addressing psychological distress. A study published in the Journal of Consulting and Clinical Psychology indicates that individuals who express their emotions in a safe environment report feeling less distress and anxiety over time. This illustrates the power of open dialogue in diverting destructive projections and reinforcing emotional resiliency. When loved ones are made aware of the underlying issues informing their behavior, they can rise to the occasion, demonstrating compassion while avoiding the pitfalls of miscommunication. Another poignant example is the experience of Lucy, a caregiver who faced a significant emotional burden while supporting her father through a severe mental health crisis. Initially overwhelmed by her father's erratic behaviors, Lucy often found herself reacting defensively when he would express anger or sadness. After attending a support group, she learned to recognize that these emotional explosions were not indicative of failure on her part, but rather manifestations of her father's unresolved pain. Armed with this insight, Lucy practiced articulating her feelings in response to her father's outbursts, emphasizing that she was there to support him, but also needed to set boundaries to maintain her well-being. This reframing transformed her emotional responses, fostering a healthier dynamic that supported both her and her father's healing journey. The urgency to embrace this strategy cannot be overstated. When individuals take responsibility for their emotional responses, they create a ripple effect that can lead to collective healing. By learning to navigate their emotional landscape effectively, both parties in a relationship are empowered to articulate their struggles openly, ushering in a new era of understanding and compassion. As we move forward, we will explore the protective mechanisms that individuals employ, learning how to differentiate between healthy emotional shields and those that act as barriers to genuine connection. By developing this discernment, you will enhance your capacity for empathy while recognizing when it is necessary to establish boundaries for your emotional health. Understanding these protective mechanisms will offer valuable frameworks for navigating complex emotional interactions in a way that uplifts both your well-being and that of your loved ones. As we embrace the potential for transforming pain into constructive communication, it's essential to implement actionable methods that will empower you and those you support. Start by becoming more aware of your emotional responses. The first step involves creating a simple emotional awareness journal. Dedicate a few minutes each day to jot down your feelings and any associated triggers. Note when you feel frustration or sadness, and try to identify the underlying source of these emotions. This practice enhances your self-awareness and facilitates easier identification of moments when you may be projecting your feelings onto others. Next, practice intentional communication. When approaching a conversation, especially those that might be difficult, compel yourself to begin with a feelings check-in. This simple technique allows you to express your own feelings before discussing the emotions of others. For example, before addressing a conflict with a friend or partner, you might say, "I've been feeling anxious lately, and I'd like to share that with you." This approach not only sets a tone of openness, but also invites the other person to express their own feelings, reducing the likelihood of defensiveness. Incorporating mindfulness techniques is another powerful strategy. When you notice heightened emotions during an interaction, pause for a moment to breathe deeply. This action can provide clarity, allowing you to respond with intention rather than react impulsively. Imagine inhaling calmness and exhaling the tension built within. This small yet significant shift can transform the trajectory of a conversation. Create a mantra that resonates with you, such as, "I choose understanding over reaction," and remind yourself of this during moments of emotional upheaval. Celebrate small wins along the journey to better communication. After successfully navigating a challenging conversation, take a moment to acknowledge your efforts, Whether it's engaging in a supportive dialogue without projecting your emotions or recognizing when you've effectively expressed your needs, each small win serves as a stepping stone toward building emotional resilience. Consider creating a visual reminder of these achievements, perhaps a vision board or a notes app on your phone where you can document successful interactions. This will energize you and reinforce the belief that progress is attainable. As you strive to support those around you, remember to maintain a healthy balance between helping others and prioritizing your own well-being. Schedule moments of self-care to recharge your emotional batteries, whether it's engaging in physical activity, practicing a hobby, or simply allowing yourself time to relax. Carving out time for self-care ensures that you are not depleted while offering support. Reflect on your boundaries regularly. They are essential for sustainable caregiving. Set clear limits on your availability when supporting others, understanding that you cannot pour from an empty cup. As we conclude this chapter, prepare yourself for an insightful exploration into the realm of emotional shields. We will uncover how these protective mechanisms can both nurture and hinder relationships, enabling you to differentiate between healthy and unhelpful barriers to connection. The next chapter will equip you with the tools you need to navigate emotional territory effectively and create deeply meaningful connections. Remember, if you're enjoying this journey towards emotional liberation, be sure to subscribe to Mindset Liberation, like this video, and share your thoughts or any suggestions for future topics. Your engagement fuels our shared journey toward growth and understanding, and I'm excited to continue this exploration with you. Chapter 4: Emotional Shields. Protecting your peace. In the often turbulent landscape of our emotional lives, establishing emotional shields can be a powerful solution for safeguarding our well-being while navigating complex interpersonal relationships. Emotional shields serve as protective barriers that help us maintain our peace and shield us from overwhelming feelings. However, understanding how to wield these shields effectively can transform not only how we interact with others, but also how we experience our own emotions. The journey toward mastering emotional shielding requires awareness, clarity, and intentionality. Emotional shields originate from our innate desire to protect ourselves from emotional pain and discomfort. They can manifest through various mechanisms, such as humor, avoidance, or even detachment. Research in psychology reveals that nearly 75% of individuals employ some form of emotional shielding to cope with stress and anxiety in relationships. This statistic highlights the commonality of the phenomenon and underscores the need for awareness regarding the potential impact of these defenses. While emotional shields can provide immediate relief from distress, they can also hinder genuine connection if used excessively or inappropriately. A relatable scenario can be seen in the experience of Alex, who often utilized humor as a shield during tough conversations. When discussions veered toward personal topics, he would joke to deflect serious dialogue, inadvertently avoiding the emotionally charged subjects that required attention. His friends, while entertained, began to feel frustrated, sensing that deeper issues were never addressed. This pattern exemplifies how emotional shields can prevent necessary conversations and create misunderstandings between individuals. Alex's case illustrates the importance of recognizing when these shields are serving our well-being and when they are isolating us from fostering deep connections. Expert insights into emotional shielding emphasize that while it can be a protective strategy, misapplication can lead to emotional detachment. Psychologist Dr. Brené Brown notes that vulnerability is essential for meaningful interactions. Without it, our relationships may become superficial. By understanding the origins and functions of emotional shields, individuals can begin to recognize the scenarios in which they deploy them, enabling them to make conscious choices about when to lower their defenses and allow authentic emotions to surface. The balance between protection and vulnerability is crucial. Emotional shields, when understood and managed, can serve to create an emotional buffer against negativity and prevent burnout from the stress of supporting others. However, maintaining this balance empowers you to choose when to engage with your feelings authentically, allowing space for genuine connections. This approach inspires confidence, reassuring you that it is possible to cultivate a sense of peace without closing yourself off from the world. As you begin this exploration of emotional shields, remember that the power to transform your mindset lies within your grasp. Embracing the dynamics of emotional shielding can lead you to greater self-awareness and deeper relationships. As you proceed, allow yourself to feel a sense of control over how you navigate your emotional landscape, culminating in healthy interactions that foster connection and understanding. Prepare yourself for the next part of this journey, where we will delve into the fine art of setting boundaries without guilt or fear. Understanding how to establish healthy boundaries is essential for maintaining your peace while supporting others. This exploration will empower you to maintain your emotional health while fostering significant relationships. As we continue this path together, I invite you to reflect on your experiences and stay engaged with the content ahead. Your journey toward emotional clarity and connection is just beginning, and each step reinforces not only your understanding, but the collective strength of our shared experiences. Establishing effective emotional shields is a powerful strategy that benefits both individuals managing their own emotional responses and those supporting others, particularly individuals facing mental health challenges. This approach promotes self-protection while fostering healthier interactions, ensuring that emotional boundaries are respected. When individuals learn to implement their emotional shields thoughtfully, they can navigate relationships with greater clarity and purpose. Consider the case of Rachel, a mental health counselor who often absorbed the emotional weight of her clients' struggles. Initially, she found herself overwhelmed, leading to compassion fatigue. Rachel realized that her tendency to absorb others' emotions stemmed from a lack of personal boundaries. To protect her emotional well-being, she began to consciously implement emotional shields, selectively engaging with her clients' pain while maintaining her sense of self. This strategy allowed her to remain empathetic without becoming enmeshed in their emotional turmoil. By establishing clear emotional boundaries, Rachel not only safeguarded her well-being, but also modeled healthy boundaries for her clients, encouraging them to engage in self-care practices. The effectiveness of this approach is further underscored by research indicating that emotional regulation directly correlates with overall mental health outcomes. A study published in the journal Emotion found that individuals who practiced healthy emotional regulation, including the use of emotional shields, reported decreased levels of anxiety and increased senses of personal agency. This evidence supports the notion that strategic emotional shielding is not just reactive, but an important proactive skill for maintaining mental health. Another example can be seen with Mark and his sister Sarah. Mark struggled with anxiety, often projecting his fears onto his relationships, which strained his connection with Sarah. Recognizing the strain his anxiety was causing, he decided to take action. Mark learned to articulate his feelings and build his emotional shields. Instead of isolating himself or reacting defensively, he communicated his need for space when overwhelmed, allowing Sarah to understand and adjust her expectations. As a result, Sarah learned to respect Mark's boundaries, leading to a healthier dynamic where both felt heard and valued. This strategy creates a safe space for both parties. For Mark, it empowered him to set clear limits without feeling guilty. For Sarah, it provided insight into Mark's struggles and helped her understand that his need for space was not a reflection of her worth, but rather a necessary step for him to manage his emotional health. This mutual understanding reinforced their bond and demonstrated the capacity for growth inherent in healthy emotional exchanges. The urgency of embracing emotional shields cannot be overstated. In a world where individuals may feel vulnerable or overwhelmed, having the ability to protect one's emotional peace is essential. By learning to establish healthy emotional boundaries, you not only enhance your well-being, but also inspire those around you to do the same. This reciprocal arrangement fosters an environment where emotional health can flourish, ultimately leading to better relationships and deeper connections. As we move forward, prepare to explore the intricacies of setting boundaries without feelings of guilt or fear. Understanding how to navigate these essential conversations will empower you to maintain your emotional health while effectively supporting those in need. The next section will provide valuable insights into establishing boundaries that nurture both your well-being and the emotional health of others. Embrace this journey with the understanding that you are equipped to transform your relationships and your emotional life. As we delve into the practical implementation of emotional shields, it's essential to equip you with tools and techniques that will foster healthier relationships and enhance your emotional well-being. Begin by conducting a self-assessment to explore your current emotional state and identify how you typically respond to stress. Set aside some time to reflect on your recent interactions. Note instances where you felt overwhelmed or where your emotional response may have been influenced by external pressures. Document these moments in a journal, focusing on your feelings and reactions. This act of self-reflection creates a solid foundation for establishing healthier emotional patterns moving forward. Next, practice identifying when to activate your emotional shields. This process involves recognizing the signals your body sends when you feel threatened or overwhelmed. It could be physical symptoms, like an increased heart rate or tension in your shoulders, or emotional signs such as irritability or sadness. Whenever you notice these signs, take a pause. This moment of mindfulness will allow you to assess the situation and decide whether it's necessary to shield yourself emotionally or engage openly. You can reinforce this practice by having a personal mantra that emphasizes your right to personal peace, such as, "I have the power to protect my peace." Once you identify these triggers and the moments to deploy your shields, begin incorporating assertive communication into your interactions. When faced with a situation that feels emotionally taxing, frame your thoughts using I statements. For example, express yourself with phrases like, "I need some time to process," or "I feel overwhelmed right now." This approach ensures that you communicate your needs clearly while minimizing the likelihood of defensive responses from others. It reinforces your commitment to maintaining your emotional health while still being present for others when possible. As you practice these techniques, celebrate small wins along your journey. After successfully setting a boundary or expressing your feelings without guilt, take a moment to acknowledge your progress. Even simple victories, such as choosing to take a break when overwhelmed or expressing your feelings openly, deserve recognition. You might want to create a success log where you jot down these accomplishments. This will serve as a motivational tool, reinforcing your determination to continue fostering healthy interactions. While establishing emotional shields is crucial, maintaining a balance between helping others and caring for your well-being is equally important. Develop your personalized self-care routine that allows you to recharge. Set aside dedicated time for activities that nourish your mental and emotional state, whether it's reading, practicing yoga, or spending time in nature. Periodic check-ins with yourself will help ensure you are not losing sight of your own needs while supporting others. As we conclude this chapter, prepare to enrich your understanding of boundaries as we venture into the next section. We will explore techniques for setting boundaries without guilt or fear, making it possible for you to navigate relationships with clarity and confidence. Understanding how to establish healthy boundaries fosters a supportive environment for both your well-being and that of those you care about. If this journey resonates with you, I encourage you to subscribe to Mindset Liberation, give this video a like, and share your personal insights or suggestions for future content. Your thoughts matter, and together we can foster a thriving community dedicated to emotional growth and understanding. Chapter 5. Boundaries without guilt or fear. The power to establish boundaries without succumbing to guilt or fear is a transformative solution that can radically enhance your emotional well-being and relationships. Setting clear boundaries is essential not just for protecting your peace of mind, but also for nurturing healthy connections with others. The difficulty of asserting boundaries often stems from societal conditioning that equates helpfulness with self-sacrifice, a notion that can leave individuals feeling guilty for prioritizing their needs. However, recognizing that setting boundaries is an act of self-respect allows for a profound shift in mindset. empowering you to reclaim control over your emotional landscape. The origins of boundary setting can be traced back to fundamental psychological principles, emphasizing the importance of self-awareness and self-care. Research by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend, renowned psychologists, indicates that individuals who consistently enforce healthy boundaries have higher levels of mental well-being and more fulfilling interpersonal relationships. According to one study, nearly 80% of participants reported feeling less stress after learning to establish and communicate their boundaries effectively. These statistics reflect the prevalent need to understand that boundaries serve as protective measures, facilitating better emotional management and connection with others. Consider the relatable story of Jessica, a dedicated professional who found herself overwhelmed by the demands of her job. Her colleagues continually leaned on her for support, often taking her kindness for granted. Initially, Jessica felt compelled to help everyone at the expense of her own health and happiness. However, as her stress levels rose, she recognized that her inability to set boundaries was detrimental not only to her well-being, but also to her ability to genuinely assist others. Through a reflective process and the guidance of a mentor, Jessica learned to articulate her needs clearly and assertively. When asked to take on additional work, she began responding with, "I can't commit to this right now, but I'd be happy to help you find another solution." This simple yet powerful shift allowed her to reclaim her time and energy while maintaining respectful connections. The effectiveness of setting boundaries without guilt lies in the fundamental understanding that each person is responsible for their own feelings and reactions. As you practice this vital skill, it's crucial to shift your mindset towards viewing boundaries as expressions of self-worth rather than acts of selfishness. Everyone has the right to determine what they will and will not tolerate. This transformed perspective inspires confidence, enabling you to communicate your needs authentically while fostering mutual respect in your relationships. Establishing boundaries also instills a sense of empowerment in the individuals who receive them. Consider a caregiver like Marcus, who dedicated himself to supporting a family member with mental health issues. Initially feeling guilty for needing breaks, Marcus realized that neglecting his own needs ultimately hindered his ability to provide effective support. By openly discussing his limits and taking necessary breaks, he fostered an environment where open dialogue became possible. His family member came to understand that taking care of oneself is essential for being a source of support. This mutual acknowledgement strengthened their bond. As you embrace the practice of setting boundaries, recognize that you are fostering healthier relationships not only for yourself, but for those around you as well. Understanding that boundaries facilitate emotional clarity and respect is crucial for personal growth. In this journey, it is important to remember that it is possible to set boundaries while maintaining compassion and understanding for others. In the subsequent section, prepare to delve into strategies for implementing boundaries effectively, without fear of judgment or guilt. We will explore how to communicate these boundaries with confidence and grace, empowering you to cultivate a life aligned with your values and emotional well-being. Embrace the knowledge that you have the power to transform your relationships and nurture self-respect. Your emotional health depends on it, and this ability will serve as a foundation for lasting connections. Establishing boundaries effectively not only empowers individuals to safeguard their emotional well-being, but also supports those around them, particularly individuals dealing with mental health challenges. This strategy encourages open communication, fosters respect, and ultimately enhances the quality of relationships. When boundaries are articulated clearly and confidently, they serve as a framework within which both parties can engage more thoughtfully and respectfully. This cultivates an environment where everyone feels heard, valued, and protected. Consider the case of Emma, a school teacher who worked tirelessly to support her students while often neglecting her own needs. With a growing number of students facing emotional and behavioral challenges, she frequently found her time and energy depleted. Initially, Emma felt a deep obligation to be available for every student, believing that her role as a caregiver meant sacrificing her own well-being. However, after reflecting on her situation, she realized that without establishing clear boundaries, she would soon be unable to help anyone effectively. Emma began implementing firm boundaries by designating specific times for student support while reserving periods for her personal needs, such as planning lessons and attending to her mental health. This change brought clarity to her responsibilities, reducing her stress levels while allowing her to effectively support her students when she was genuinely available. Research shows that boundary-setting exercises can significantly improve mental health outcomes for both caregivers and those receiving support. Studies indicate that mental health professionals who maintain healthy boundaries report lower levels of burnout and greater job satisfaction. These findings underscore the importance of boundaries in creating sustainable relationships, particularly for individuals invested in helping others. Another powerful example can be found in Sarah and her best friend, Mike, who had been struggling with severe anxiety. Mike often depended on Sarah for emotional support, frequently reaching out when he felt overwhelmed. Initially, this left Sarah feeling trapped, as she worried about abandoning her friend during tough times. However, she soon recognized that her inability to set boundaries was leading to her own emotional exhaustion. To address this, Sarah had an honest conversation with Mike about her need for space. She expressed her commitment to being there for him, but also explained that she needed time to recharge to provide the best support possible. Mike's response was one of understanding. He appreciated Sarah's honesty and began to see the value in her self-care approach. This exchange helped him learn about the significance of mutual respect in relationships, reinforcing that a strong friendship allows for individual needs and boundaries. The effectiveness of boundary setting lies in its ability to create a reciprocal dynamic where both parties acknowledge and respect each other's limitations. When people feel secure in their understanding of personal boundaries, they are more likely to engage genuinely, leading to healthier interactions. This sense of safety cultivates an atmosphere where vulnerability can be expressed effectively, ultimately facilitating deeper connections. As you begin to implement these strategies in your own life, remember that asserting your boundaries proactively does not mean shutting others out. Rather, it signifies a commitment to self-care and healthy relationships. This realization inspires confidence, allowing you to take charge of your emotional well-being while also being present for those who need your support. In the next section, we will explore the tools and techniques necessary for communicating your boundaries clearly and confidently. Understanding how to articulate these boundaries with compassion and assertiveness will empower you to cultivate relationships grounded in mutual respect. The journey toward establishing healthy boundaries is an ongoing process, and embracing this knowledge can lead to transformative experiences that enrich not only your life, but also the lives of those you care about. Your emotional health is a priority, and together we can build a better foundation for authentic connections. To effectively implement the strategy of establishing boundaries without guilt or fear, you can start with a systematic approach that empowers you to communicate your needs confidently and clearly. Begin by identifying your personal limits. Spend some time reflecting on situations in which you feel overwhelmed, drained, or resentful. Write down specific instances where you believe your boundaries were overlooked. This exercise not only clarifies your needs, but also highlights patterns that may have gone unnoticed. Once you've established a sense of what your boundaries are, the next step is to practice articulating them. Choose a safe environment where you feel comfortable discussing your needs. This could be with trusted friends or family members. Start small by communicating simpler boundaries to build your confidence. For instance, if you need uninterrupted time to focus on personal tasks, you might say, "I need an hour to myself right now. Can we catch up later?" Practicing these conversations helps prepare you for more challenging discussions without feeling intimidated. As you continue to practice asserting your boundaries, it's important to cultivate a mindset of self-empowerment. Remind yourself that setting boundaries is an act of self-respect. Whenever feelings of guilt creep in, counter them with affirmations that reinforce your right to prioritize your own needs. Remind yourself of the value that healthy boundaries bring to both your well-being and your relationships. A mantra like, "My needs are valid, and caring for myself allows me to support others better," can be particularly effective. Another practical exercise is to create a boundary-setting script. Write down a few phrases you can use in different situations to express your boundaries clearly. For example, you might say, "I can't take on this additional commitment right now, but I'd be happy to assist in the future." Having these statements readily available can alleviate the stress of thinking about how to express your needs in the moment. When the opportunity arises, refer to your script to ease into the discussion. As you navigate this journey, aim to celebrate even the smallest victories. Each time you successfully assert a boundary, take a moment to acknowledge it. Perhaps treat yourself to something special, or share your achievement with a friend who is supportive. These small wins build momentum and reinforce the idea that setting boundaries is a necessary and empowering practice. Maintaining a balance between helping others and prioritizing your well-being is also crucial. When you set boundaries, remember that it's perfectly acceptable to say no or to carve out time for yourself. Schedule regular self-care check-ins on your calendar, whether it's a cozy evening with a book, a walk in nature, or a short meditation. Ensuring you have time dedicated to your well-being allows you to recharge and prevents burnout. As we conclude this chapter, get ready to explore the essential topic of emotional intelligence in your relationships. We'll examine how understanding and managing your emotions can significantly enhance your interactions with others, making it easier to navigate the complexity of human connections. This exploration will provide you with valuable insights to deepen your understanding of your emotions and how they impact your relationships. If you're finding value in this journey, please consider subscribing to Mindset Liberation, giving this video a like, and sharing your thoughts or suggestions for future topics. Your engagement is invaluable, and together, we can foster a supportive community committed to personal growth and emotional well-being. Chapter 6. Supporting without losing yourself. The ability to support others while maintaining your own sense of self is a crucial skill that promotes emotional resilience and healthier relationships. Many individuals find themselves immersed in the challenges of others, often at the cost of their own well-being. This chapter highlights the essential strategies for providing support without becoming overwhelmed or losing sight of your identity. By understanding how to create a balance, you can become a source of strength, not just for others, but also for yourself. The origins of this phenomenon can be traced to our innate desire to help those we care about. However, the impact of overextending oneself in the service of support can be detrimental. Statistics reveal that nearly 75% of caregivers experience feelings of burnout at some point. And this emotional strain doesn't just affect the caregiver, but also the individual being supported. This reality underscores the urgent need for strategies that allow one to assist without sacrificing personal health. Consider the experience of Jamie, who dedicated herself to a friend grappling with addiction. Initially, Jamie poured every ounce of energy into trying to help, sacrificing time with her family and neglecting her own needs. She believed that being available at all times would somehow solve her friend's struggles. However, as weeks turned into months, Jamie faced fatigue and emotional depletion, rendering her less effective as a support system. It wasn't until a close family member remarked on her diminishing energy that she recognized the unsustainable impact of her self-sacrifice. This realization prompted Jamie to reconsider her approach, marking the beginning of her journey to support without losing herself. Expert insights emphasize the importance of establishing clear boundaries when supporting others. According to Dr. Shannon D. South, a renowned psychologist specializing in relationships, maintaining personal well-being while being supportive is a vital skill that can be developed through intentional practice. This approach empowers individuals to step back and assess their emotional state, allowing them to respond rather than react during difficult situations. It is crucial to acknowledge that you are not responsible for another person's happiness or healing. This mindset can help you cultivate a position of strength rather than obligation. The act of supporting someone does not require you to forfeit your own needs. Instead, embrace the idea that you can serve as a stabilizing force without becoming enmeshed in another person's struggles. This shift in perspective inspires confidence, as it reassures you that adopting such a mindset is not selfish, but rather a compassionate approach to care. As you embark on this journey, recognize that supporting without losing yourself is entirely achievable. Develop awareness of your own emotional triggers and learn to identify when you feel overwhelmed. Incorporating self-care practices into your routine, whether it's engaging in hobbies, spending time with loved ones, or simply setting aside time for reflection, ensures you remain grounded while being present for others. Creating a self-care toolkit can be invaluable. Include practices that resonate with you personally, such as journaling, exercise, or meditation. Through this chapter, you are encouraged to reclaim your emotional strength by supporting others from a place of balance and clarity. Remember that genuine support is rooted in self-awareness and authenticity. As we progress, the next segment will delve deeper into practical techniques for maintaining this balance and enhancing your ability to support those in need without compromising your well-being. Embrace the knowledge that by nurturing your own needs, you become a more effective source of strength for others, paving the way for genuine connections rooted in mutual respect and care. Supporting someone who is facing mental health challenges while preserving your own well-being is not only a vital skill, but also a transformative strategy that fosters healthier and more effective relationships. This approach proves effective for both parties involved, allowing the support provider to maintain their resilience while empowering the person in need to take ownership of their healing journey. When individuals can establish boundaries and prioritize their self-care, they create a solid foundation upon which meaningful support can be built. Take the situation of Kathy, who has been assisting her partner, David, as he navigates his depression. Initially, Kathy felt compelled to be available around the clock, believing that her constant presence could alleviate his pain. While her intentions were noble, the emotional labor she absorbed began to take a toll on her own mental health. Over time, Kathy noticed that her own feelings of anxiety and frustration were escalating as she neglected her own self-care routines. Realizing that she couldn't effectively help David while she was feeling depleted, Kathy began to implement strategies to prioritize her mental health while still supporting him. She established specific times for their discussions about his challenges and set aside separate time for herself to decompress and recharge. Kathy's experience underscores why this approach is beneficial. By supporting David while also valuing her well-being, she became a more effective partner. As she re-engaged with her hobbies, such as painting and exercising, Kathy found herself more emotionally available and supportive during discussions with David. This newfound balance enabled them to communicate more openly about his struggles without the heaviness that previously overshadowed their interactions. Instead of solely relying on Kathy for his emotional needs, David began exploring therapeutic options, reinforcing his agency in the healing process. This shift not only improved their relationship, but empowered David to take meaningful steps towards his mental health. Furthermore, numerous studies and psychological research indicate the value of mutual support as part of a healthy partnership. According to a report published in the Journal of Mental Health, individuals who maintain their personal well-being while offering support to loved ones report greater satisfaction in their relationships, lower levels of stress, and more effective communication. This underscores the urgency of adopting strategies that allow for balance, ultimately creating an environment conducive to growth and healing. Consider another example with Oliver and his sister, Mia. Mia struggled with anxiety, often seeking comfort in Oliver. However, Oliver would find himself becoming overwhelmed by her emotional outbursts, struggling to navigate his own workload while also being there for Mia. After discussing their dynamic, they decided to schedule support sessions. Specific times when Mia could share her feelings and Oliver could provide feedback or encouragement. This structured approach allowed Mia to feel heard while also giving Oliver the space he needed to manage his own responsibilities. By creating a dedicated time for discussion, Both were able to engage without the emotional drain that unscheduled conversations had previously caused. Through these examples, the power of supporting without losing yourself becomes clear. This balance not only helps caregivers maintain their mental health, but also enables those facing challenges to feel empowered and understood. Ultimately, this approach nurtures resilience and promotes healthier relationships, providing a positive framework for everyone involved. As we move forward into this exploration, we will delve into practical techniques for implementing this supportive framework effectively, focusing on communication strategies that can further enhance your ability to support others without compromising your own well-being. Your journey toward balanced and empowering relationships is just beginning, and embracing these principles will lead to deeper connections and enrichment in your life. To implement the method of supporting others without losing yourself, begin with an essential self-assessment that will establish a clear understanding of your limits and feelings. Take some time to reflect on your current emotional state and identify specific instances where you felt overwhelmed or drained while providing support. Keeping a journal can be beneficial here. Write down these moments, what triggered them, and how they affected you. This exercise will help you become aware of your emotional boundaries, making it easier to address them as you move forward. Once you've identified your limits, craft a personal care plan centered on your well-being. This plan can include daily or weekly activities that replenish your energy and align with your interests, such as engaging in hobbies, spending time in nature, or practicing mindfulness techniques like meditation or yoga. Consider scheduling these activities just as you would any appointment, treating them as non-negotiable commitments to your well-being. This practice emphasizes that prioritizing your mental health is not only acceptable, but necessary for effective support. Next, practice effective communication strategies when it comes to offering help. Establish a set of phrases or scripts to guide your interactions with those you are supporting. For instance, you can say, "I care about you and want to help, but I need to take some time for myself too." This transparent approach reinforces your willingness to be present while also maintaining your boundaries. Role-playing these conversations with a trusted friend can build your confidence in delivering these messages in real-life situations. Another powerful technique is to set designated times for emotional check-ins with those you support. Encourage them to share their feelings while also allowing you to express any concerns about your own well-being. By creating a structured time for these discussions, both parties can engage thoughtfully and avoid overwhelming each other at unexpected moments. This method not only offers the person in need focused time, but also empowers you to manage your emotional availability. As you practice these strategies, remember to celebrate even the smallest victories as you establish your boundaries. Whether it's successfully communicating a need for personal time or engaging in a pleasurable activity that nurtures you, acknowledging these moments reinforces the positive changes you are making. Keep a win journal where you can document these achievements, serving as a motivational reminder of your progress on this journey. Balancing the support you provide with self-care is essential for sustainability. Encourage collaboration with those you support. Empower them to seek additional resources or support systems, such as counseling, support groups, or workshops. By conveying that they can also turn to other avenues for help, you remind them that they hold agency over their healing journey. This sense of empowerment not only alleviates some of the pressure on you, but also encourages the person to take active steps toward their emotional health. As we wrap up this chapter, prepare to explore the critical theme of emotional intelligence in interpersonal relationships. Understanding how to navigate your own emotions and those of others can enhance the quality of your connections exponentially. In the next section, we will delve deeper into the components of emotional intelligence, equipping you with tools to further enrich your supportive capabilities. If this journey resonates with you, I encourage you to subscribe to Mindset Liberation, give this video a like, and share your thoughts or suggestions for future content. Your engagement is key to our growing community focused on emotional well-being and personal development. Together, let's continue to cultivate a space for growth and connection. Chapter 7. Rewriting Your Inner Narrative. The power to rewrite your inner narrative is an extraordinary solution that can drastically alter the course of your emotional well-being and personal growth. Our internal dialogues influence how we perceive ourselves and navigate the world, often dictating our responses to challenges and shaping our future. By consciously reshaping these narratives, we can transform negative thought patterns into empowering beliefs, opening doors to self-acceptance and enhanced mental resilience. This chapter will guide you through the transformative process of becoming the author of your own story, allowing you to reclaim agency over your life. The origins of our inner narratives often stem from our early experiences, societal expectations, and interactions with others. Over time, these influences can forge a lens through which we view ourselves, leading to self-limiting beliefs that hinder our potential. Research reveals that around 70% of people frequently engage in negative self-talk, which can contribute to decreased self-esteem and increased anxiety. This statistic highlights the magnitude of the issue. Many individuals unknowingly walk around with narratives that serve only to undermine their confidence and happiness. A relatable example of this phenomenon is seen in the life of Tom, a talented musician who always doubted his abilities. Growing up, Tom received mixed messages about his passion for music. While his family supported him creatively, negative comments from peers left a lasting impact, fostering a narrative that he was not good enough. For years, Tom hesitated to share his music, internalizing these doubts and allowing them to dictate his actions. It wasn't until he sought guidance from a mentor who encouraged him to confront these negative beliefs that Tom began to rewrite his story. With every performance, he challenged the inklings of inadequacy, gradually transforming his self-perception from one of self-doubt to one of affirmation and confidence. Expert insights into cognitive restructuring emphasize the importance of actively challenging negative thoughts to reformulate them into more constructive and positive beliefs. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, provides valuable techniques that enable individuals to dissect their negative narratives, turning them into opportunities for growth. By recognizing the thought patterns that fuel self-doubt and consciously replacing them with affirmations of strength, individuals like Tom can begin to see meaningful change in their self-image and overall happiness. This chapter aims to energize you and remind you that the power to transform your mindset lies within your grasp. By actively practicing the art of narrative revision, you gain control over your internal dialogue, reinforcing a sense of empowerment and optimism. Each small step forward strengthens your belief in your abilities and fosters a deeper connection to your authentic self. As you engage in this process, remember to be patient with yourself. Rewriting your inner narrative is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing journey that requires consistent practice and reflection. Embrace the challenges along the way as opportunities for personal growth. The key is to maintain a hopeful outlook, reinforcing the idea that you possess the power to create the narrative that aligns with your goals and desires. Prepare yourself for the next section, where we will delve into actionable techniques for rewriting your inner narrative through specific exercises and reflections. This exploration will equip you with the tools to flourish emotionally and mentally, enabling deeper connections with yourself and others. Your journey of empowerment is just beginning, and together, we will uncover the transformative impact of embracing your true self. Rewriting your inner narrative is a powerful strategy that benefits not just the individual striving for self-improvement, but also those around them, particularly individuals managing mental health challenges. When one takes active steps to reshape negative thoughts into empowering beliefs, it cultivates a more positive and supportive environment for everyone involved. By reinforcing a healthy self-image and fostering resilience, individuals become better equipped to handle stressors, promote emotional balance, and offer genuine support to others. For instance, consider the story of Lisa, a young professional who struggled with crippling self-doubt in her new job. Despite her credentials, she often perceived herself as an imposter, fearing that colleagues would discover her insecurities. This narrative not only impacted her performance, but also affected her interactions, causing her to withdraw from team collaborations. After attending a workshop on cognitive restructuring techniques, Lisa learned to identify her negative thought patterns and actively replace them with affirmations of competence and self-worth. When she caught herself thinking, "I'm not good enough for this role," she would counter it with, "I earned this position through hard work, and I have valuable contributions to make." This shift allowed Lisa to engage more openly with her coworkers, increasing her confidence and helping her performance improve markedly. Expert insights into the practice of rewriting one's inner narrative underscore its significance in enhancing overall mental health. Studies show that individuals who engage in positive self-talk and affirmations demonstrate lower levels of anxiety and greater resilience. The ability to confront and transform inward criticism into supportive language fosters a sense of personal agency and encourages individuals to take ownership of their emotions. This not only aids in improving mental health for the individual, but also creates a ripple effect, positively impacting relationships and support systems. Another illustrative example involves Mark, a father of two who struggled with feelings of inadequacy after losing his job. Initially, he internalized the stigma of unemployment, convinced that his circumstances diminished his worth as a provider and father. Recognizing the toll this negativity took on his mental health and family dynamics, he began working on altering his inner dialogue. Through focused journaling and family discussions, Mark shared his feelings of frustration while encouraging his children to understand that setbacks are part of life. Over time, he transformed his narrative to emphasize resilience and adaptability, using phrases like, "We can find new opportunities together." By doing this, he not only uplifted his spirits, but also instilled a sense of resilience in his children, creating a learning experience that strengthened their family bond. The urgency of adopting this strategy is underscored by the reality that many people struggle with similar narratives that limit their potential. For those facing mental health challenges, a positive internal dialogue can be particularly transformative. It enables individuals to reframe challenges as opportunities for growth, fostering a proactive approach toward their well-being. This empowerment is crucial, particularly in moments when they might feel overwhelmed or discouraged. As you embark on the process of rewriting your inner narrative, remember that change is an ongoing journey. The power of your thoughts shapes your reality, and with consistent practice, you can shift the landscape of your internal world. As we progress into the next section, we will delve into specific techniques and exercises to help you continue this transformative journey, equipping you with practical tools to solidify your newfound narrative. Embrace the potential within you to create a more positive and resilient mindset, and let's explore the actionable steps toward achieving that together. To effectively rewrite your inner narrative, start by developing a structured approach that allows you to challenge negative thoughts and replace them with empowering affirmations. Begin with a self-reflection session to identify the persistent negative beliefs you hold about yourself. Set aside time each week where you can focus on this without distractions. Take a journal and write down any negative thoughts or phrases that come to mind, such as, "I'm not capable," or "I'll never succeed." This exercise raises awareness of these detrimental patterns, serving as the foundation upon which you can build a more positive narrative. Once you've identified your negative thoughts, it's time to confront and challenge them. For each negative belief, write a counterstatement that reframes the thought into something constructive. For example, if you wrote down, "I always mess things up," replace it with, "I have made mistakes, but I learn from them and grow stronger." This process of cognitive restructuring not only shifts the focus from negativity to growth, but also empowers you to take control of your narrative. Over time, this technique will help you reinforce new thought patterns that are supportive and nurturing. Engaging in daily affirmations can further cement this new inner dialogue. Set a time each morning to stand in front of a mirror and articulate affirmations that resonate with you. Phrases like, "I am capable of achieving my goals," or "My past does not define my future," can bring energy and positivity to your day. This practice fosters a sense of self-empowerment and confidence, reminding you of your strengths and potential. Consistency is key. so make it a non-negotiable part of your morning routine. As you work through these changes, remember to celebrate your small victories. Each time you catch yourself resisting a negative thought or successfully express a positive affirmation, take a moment to acknowledge this progress. Create a success jar or a journal where you can jot down these wins, no matter how minor they may seem. Over time, reflecting on these affirmations and achievements will build momentum and reinforce your commitment to rewriting your inner narrative. Maintaining a healthy balance is essential, especially when supporting others on their journeys. It's crucial to recognize that while your progress is significant, so is your well-being. Schedule weekly check-ins with yourself to assess how your practices are impacting your emotional state. If you find that you're becoming overwhelmed, allow yourself the grace to step back and focus on self-care. Engage in activities that nourish your soul, such as taking long walks, practicing mindfulness, or spending time with supportive friends. Remind yourself that nurturing your mental health paves the way for being a supportive presence for others. As you delve deeper into the practice of rewriting your inner narrative, remain committed to the journey you've embarked upon. Your thoughts and beliefs shape your reality, so approach this process with patience and curiosity. Each step you take allows you to step further into the person you aspire to be, fostering a more resilient mindset along the way. As we conclude this journey through Rejection Cycle, breaking free from abandonment triggers, we've explored the complexities of emotional dynamics and the profound impact they can have on our relationships. From recognizing the rejection loop and understanding the roots of abandonment to setting healthy boundaries and rewriting our inner narratives, each chapter has equipped you with practical tools designed to empower your emotional well-being and personal growth. We've laid a foundation for not just supporting others facing mental health challenges, but also ensuring that you do not lose sight of your own needs in the process. Remember, understanding your emotions and establishing a balance is key to fostering meaningful connections. Thank you for taking the time to engage with this material. We hope you found these insights valuable and inspiring for your own journey toward emotional resilience. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, commenting your thoughts or questions, and subscribing to the Mindset Liberation channel. Your feedback is invaluable and will help us continue to provide content that supports your path to personal development. Together, let's continue to explore the depths of emotional health and create a community dedicated to growth and understanding.